What's going on, folks? So today I'm going to be talking about the new upcoming album from Legions of the Night. The name of the album is Hell. I mean, just straight to the point there. But this album comes out Friday, November 4th. But before I get into that nitty-gritty, y'all know it, let's check out the cover. So, boom, there it is. Take a look at the cover there. I mean, that's just Legions of the Night right there. I mean, it just captures the spirit of the band so well. It just looks dark. You see these clouds swirling above this robe, robed figure standing there with these chains. It just looks tight. It's dark, heavy metal looking, really, really cool. Like I really like the colors, especially up in the clouds, and it's just very dark. The way that it's designed, it just looks neat, and the way the chains all kind of bring the focus up into this figure, and there's almost like a black hole up above, where the clouds are swirling. I mean, it just looks sick. There's these pillars with some kind of text or hieroglyphs or whatnot, and just the band name there with the little crescent moon looking thing. It just looks tight, man. It looks so sick. And if you've never heard of the band before, you don't know what their sound is, and you're looking through the CD shop, you see that cover, you're like, dude, look at that. That looks so sick. And you just buy it, bring it home. Does the cover give you a good indication on what to expect on the album? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. In my humble opinion, I absolutely believe it does. It looks like, I mean, it just screams heavy metal. You know, with like kind of some dark vibes and a little bit of the classic heavy metal, but it just really, I mean, I guess it could be kind of like I don't know. Personally, I just really think it is representative of the sound on the album. Like, I guess you could maybe, someone might perceive it as like it's a black metal album or something, but I don't know. To me, it just really kind of screams like the heavy metal. So I think it does a great job of indicating the sound on the album, and the cover just looks tight. So anywho, that's the cover there. I dig it. As for the album itself, this bad boy's got 12 songs on there. It comes in at about 59 minutes, so just shy of an hour. Track 12 is actually a cover, a Savatage cover of the song When the Crowds Are Gone, but tracks 1 through 11 are all original tracks. Now, I was a big fan of last year's release, Sorrow's the Cure, from the band, and was super excited to see that they're already releasing another album the following year, and they do not disappoint. I'm just going to come right out and say it right there. They do not disappoint. What you get here on this album, you get like it's really cool because it's like there's a classic heavy metal soul to it, but also a little bit of kind of a modern feel mixed in with it. But the one thing that really took me by surprise, or really brought me in to the album last year, their debut effort, is just right off the rip, they crafted their own signature sound right away. It was a sound that I never really heard specifically. I mean, they stood out from the crowd. It was like, wow, what is this? These guys are cool. And that continues here. It sounds like Legions of the Night. I mean, they've carved out their own signature sound just right away. And again, that continues here with their new album, Hell. And right when you start it, it's like, oh yeah, that's Legions of the Night, man. Everything that you loved about the first album continues here. But so there's also like a rawness about the band. It's hard to say. Like, I don't want to say it's like simple or because it's just there. It's not like overly complex, but it is at the same time. I think with the songwriting and the structure and whatnot, but it's kind of stripped away of all these fancy little, extra things added to it. I mean, at the forefront of this is that you got the guitar, you hear the bass very clearly, the drums, and the vocals. There's also some gorgeous, wonderful, dark piano melodies in there. And then some symphonic elements like violin, strings and stuff like that. But, everything just feels very raw. That's what I'm trying to say. It doesn't feel like an overly produced, epic extravaganza of sound. It's just very, very raw. And again, at the heart of it is just like the guitar and the bass. And the guitar work here is just absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. It's heavy. It's intricate. It's melodic. You get these heavy driving riffs, but then you get these extra little, almost like fillers, like in between these extra little licks, in between the riffs. It's just so tight. Like, I mean, you're headbanging, and then again, you get this little, lick uh, that just, oh, it's just so cool, and it just so well done. And I dig it. It just really stays fresh, the guitar work, because again, you never know when there's going to be a little extra thing in there, because like I said, you got these heavy riffs going, these driving rhythmic riffs, and then you get a little, and it just starts like going again, and it's just really, really neat. It keeps the pace going, and it just creates these moments where you're just like, oh man, I've been sitting there and just listening to this, and even on like my third playthrough of the album, uh, I still like there's so many moments where I'm just like, oh man, this is so cool, so cool. It's dark and heavy. And like I said, the guitar work is just phenomenal. There's solos, and there's just great, intricate little melodies woven throughout. The bass work is stellar as well. Really, really well done, and it just creates a strong sound, along with the guitar, that just creates this heaviness. And the drum work is also phenomenal. Great fills, great rhythms, great impact. The drum sound, tonally, it just matches, the sound of the guitars and the bass, and just that heavy dark sound. And, everything just blends together very, very well. And then again, you get moments of just this awesome, like, just piano work, that's kind of dark and melancholic at times, and it just, again, it just creates this mood, that this atmosphere of this heaviness, almost like this oppressiveness, that they create. And if you're familiar with the first album, it's like the band has a very dark feel, and that continues here. And then you get some strings and some other little symphonic elements throughout as well that really add to that. And vocally, I mean, the vocals are just amazing, amazing. There's times when he sounds like just a man full of anguish, almost shrieking at times, and just, you know, singing, just like I said, just full of anguish and almost despair. And then there's other times where there's a sense of hopefulness in his voice, and it just he just does such a great job of really hammering home this feeling of just darkness and despair. And it just works so well, and his range is so great, and the delivery, he's got this real nice edge to his voice. But then, he does some falsettos, and has a softer, more tender touch at times for just more, moments of like emotion. And again, his voice is just full of emotions, varying emotions throughout this whole album, and it just is so great. Everything just works together so well. The melodies are amazing. Again, you got these really heavy. It's cool because you got these really heavy moments that are like in the verses and stuff, that's dark and menacing, and then you get this chorus that kind of has a lighter feel, almost like like I said, that sense of like hopefulness, and then you dive back down into the dark and heaviness. And those guitar riffs are just, oh, everything about this album. It just, I'm loving this thing. I am loving this album so much. I really cannot convey that enough. I love the first album, Sorrow is the Cure, but I feel like here they refined their sound even more, and they delivered an incredibly strong follow up that, in my opinion, even exceeds their first effort, which I thought was fantastic to begin with. But this one, like I said, it has a little bit more of like a refined feel to it, a little bit more of a focus, and it just it's just so good. Every song. And the first time I listened to it, I liked it, but every subsequent listen, it's like I like it more and more, because you really get in the headspace of the sound and of the band, because again, there's nothing quite like them. So it takes a moment sometimes to really uh, get engaged with it, but it's so good. Sometimes it's kind of theatrical feeling at times, just with the nature of the music and the melodies, and again with his vocals, sometimes full of anguish and despair, other times full of hopefulness. It's just really, really great. The way it starts out, track one, "Who Will Believe in Me," it's just almost like a cry out, and it starts with the piano, and it just excellent, excellent start. Track two, "Exit," might be my favorite track on the whole album. It's got one of the sickest guitar licks, in the whole album, in my opinion. Kind of what I was talking about. Where you get the riffs and you get a little, little fill, guitar fill in there. I'm not quite sure what you would call that. I mean, it's just part of the guitar melody and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, it's like you got this heavy rhythm, but then you get these little note uh, I don't know I mean, it's not like even a mini solo. It's just like a little fill. I guess that's the best way I can say it, because I'm not a guitar player, so I'm not quite sure what you would call that. But so hopefully y'all understand what I mean when I say it's just a little extra fill in between these heavy riffs that just keep the momentum going, and just really change it up a little bit. Track six is really cool, "Fury." This one is one of the more thrashy tracks on the album, where it's just speedy, thrashy. The vocals are nice and harsh and screamy. Really, really great stuff. "Save Us," track seven, is another kind of song that's like a cry out. And "The World Lost the Fight," just really, really great. Yeah, track 10, "Times of Despair," is kind of like the ballad of the album, and really again showcases just the versatility of the vocals. It's just awesome stuff. And then it also does a great job with the Savatage cover at the end when the crowds are gone. It's a great way to kind of end the album too. It's very suiting of the album. It's not just like, oh, we picked a random cover that we just wanted to do as a bonus song. No, it fits the feel of the album. It's a nice end cap for the album. It just suits it very, very well. But yeah, I mean, this album, it just some classic heavy metal, heavy power metal, with again some modern influences, and then just their own style. And again, just this rawness. I mean, the production is really great. Everything is mixed really, really well. You can hear everything clearly, and it sounds great. The sound is crisp, but there's just, yeah, that's just the best way I can say it. Just this rawness about it that really, really adds to their sound. Just this grittiness almost, and it enhances the darkness and the oppressiveness of the sound, and it's just so good. So yeah, this album just absolutely blew me away. That's my thoughts. It just blew me away. That I was looking so forward to it, and I had super high expectations, but it actually exceeded them. I'm not gonna lie to you folks. This thing, I cannot recommend this album enough, especially if you enjoyed last year's "Sorrow Is the Cure" from the band. But if you've never heard, uh, if you didn't listen to that album, you check this one out when it drops November 4th, or check out Sorrow's The Cure to get a good idea. But this album is one not to miss. I'm saying that right now. There's several albums, so far this year that I would say are not to miss of 2022. This is one of them. Do not miss this. Any power metal fan, any heavy metal fan, uh, do not miss this album. It really, really is something special. And it just blew me away. It just blew me away. So, yeah, those are my thoughts on that here. To give you you know, I like to tell y'all folks, a song to listen to give you a good impression of the album. If you're like, oh, let me try one song to decide if I want to hear the whole album or not. You know, it's hard to say, but I would say just go with the single that they've released already, "Run Faster," which is track 4. Yeah, it really does a good job of giving you the idea, or a good representation of the album as a whole, and give it a few listens. Because again, if you've never listened to Legions of the Night before, give that song a few listens to really, really, uh, get into their sound, because they just have a unique sound, uh, and just, yeah, I mean, just give it a few listens, and I mean, it's a great song, and the album, it just is phenomenal. Like I said, there's so many moments where I was just pumped, and I'm digging it. I'm digging it. I've listened to it several times. I'm gonna keep listening to it. This album is definitely going into like a playlist or whatnot. It's an album that's gonna be in my rotation for quite some time. Sorrow's The Cure was as well, but this one here, like I said, I feel like they've outdone themselves, and I cannot praise this album enough. I just dug it on every single aspect about it. The darkness, the heaviness, the vocals, the guitar work, the piano, the way they put it in there, just the songwriting. Fantastic. I loved it. Like I said, I cannot praise this album enough. So check it out. Let me know in the comments down below if you're a fan of Legions of the Night. Did you listen to Sorrow's The Cure? Have you listened to their single from this album, Run Faster, yet? Um, and then come back, and when you've listened to this album, when it drops November 4th, let me know what you think of it. Let's talk about it in the comments down below. And thank you all so much for tuning in. I'll catch you next time. Ranger, out.